Man, sales is tough. I'm just not cut out to be a salesperson. Have you ever felt that way? Selling doesn't need to be so difficult. My name is Harry Spate. I'm here to serve and to help you succeed. Join me as we discuss sales made easy.
Stuff that you're asking is helping people to think. That's where we can bring massive value to as a salesperson. Before you start showing the stuff and getting the demos and all that sort of thing, if you're helping somebody to think, that is you differentiating. Because you look at what we're all selling now, so much stuff is so similar. It's like, same as that, isn't it? What's different? That guy helped me get my head around it. That's what I like. And that is why I'm going down that route. Nice. So just think about the questions that you would be asking.
Fred Copestake, ladies and gentlemen, is joining me on the Sales Made Easy podcast. So you're going to like Fred. He has got a great mind for sales, incredible energy, and guess what? He's all about making the client the hero. So Fred, welcome to the Sales Made Easy podcast, and what is the good word, man?
Oh, brilliant. Well, look, thank you for inviting me and giving me such notice to prepare and, and be ready for this. But,
my goodness. So Fred and I are back-to-back podcasting, so we didn't change shirts, but I just guested on his podcast, and we love the energy so much, and the banter. We said, let's just do another, and he's joining us on this one. So Fred, can you tell us a little bit about what it is you do and who the heck you are and where you are?
Sure, yeah. So Fred Copestake, I'm founder of Brindis, which is a sales training consultancy. Over the last 23 years, I've been around the world 14 times, worked in 36 countries, trained over 10,000 salespeople. And it's whilst doing that, which I had a lot of fun doing, by the way, I also really start to understand what are the challenges that salespeople have, and more than anything, what do they have today? And it's because of that I was able to sort of go away and think, right, how can we solve this? I mean, that's what we're in the business of, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And that's why I wrote the first book, Selling Through Partnering Skills, to deal with some of the common challenges that I'm seeing. I mean, literally anywhere in the world, different sectors, industries. Broadly, salespeople are having to deal with certain stuff. So, yeah, let's try and help them out. Try and make their life easy, as you say.
Yeah, that's great. So, why are you traveling all over the world? I mean, are you international in your sales coaching and training?
Sure. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I've always done international stuff. Even I've got a degree in commerce and Spanish. So,
okay.
Even at university, I went and spent a year in Spain. First job, bueno. It was. Yeah, era estupendo. And then it's sort of, I worked abroad straight away, and it's always done that. So I've kind of always had that international background to what I've done as a seller, and then in the training world, again, because I'd got that, people were using me on international projects, and just sort of ended up doing that a lot. It's great.
All right, so I've got a question for you on that then. How has that helped you in sales, your international background?
Adaptability, I'd say. We talk about it a lot, but when you're there, stood in front of a room full of people in a different country, speaking a different language, because I would deliver in Spanish sometimes, different culture to a degree, you've got to adapt. The core is the same. The core to good selling is absolutely the same. However, how people are applying it is slightly different. So, I would never spoon feed people. They're going to pick up and do some of their own stuff, but I've got to at least adapt it and deliver the training in a way that's conducive to that, and make sure it's being taken on board so they can use it.
Yeah, I can't imagine. So so when you think about culturally, coming in as an outsider in a different culture, different country, how do they respond to that typically?
I've had some really interesting ones. As you can imagine, an English guy rocking up in Argentina, where in my living memory, we had a conflict with them, we had a war with them. That could be potentially very, very difficult. However, speaking the language, being willing to adapt and to understand, and actually sharing a common language with them that I like rugby, and that's quite a big sport over there. we soon got over any barriers and and then start to do it. But yeah, it's by being inquisitive, by wanting to understand, you build a better relationship with people. Plus, you're giving yourself the info that you need to be able to make the adaptations. So, I mean, similar to some of the stuff that you talk about in your book, it's showing interest in people. That's how you do it. So generally, the reaction is pretty good because you're different as well. So people will sit up and listen. So you can get a little bit of an advantage from that as well.
Yeah, outstanding. So what's going on in the world of sales today? What are some of your observations as the guy that's all about partnering and hybrid selling and so many different topics? So talk to me.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the reason I wrote the first book, I mean, that came out in 2020, was, as I say, I saw these three broad challenges that all salespeople are trying to get over. And I categorized them as busy, oldie worldy, and muddled mindset. So these are like the little buckets of challenge. And if you think about it, you can listen to this. You're a salesperson, and people are tuning in, and work out, are you one, two, or three of these? So busy. This is where people run around doing loads of stuff. Mega active. They're so kind of involved in things. So the problem is, it's not stuff that works. It's wasteful because it's ineffective. It's wasteful. It's tiring. It's stressful because it's unfocused. And you see people doing this, and they throw good after bad, and it becomes this vicious circle of stuff going on.
True.
All industries. That can be part and parcel of oldie worldy. And that's oldie worldy, that's old fashioned. That's doing stuff that just doesn't work anymore. Okay. It probably wasn't a good idea a few years ago, to be honest, but it was certainly in vogue.
Okay, so people are still trying. Oldie worldly, is this like an English UK term? Because is this like old world?
Oldie worldy. Have you never seen it? Ye oldie worldy sweetie shoppy, where it's got an E on the end of it. That's how old English is.
Yeah,
oldie worldy.
Probably some smart people in America know this.
In Amoric that called was retained, there was a man who loved and lived his pain. I mean, Chaucer in English is that's really old, but no. So I just got oldie world. But it's old fashioned.
I like old fashioned. I know that
it's old fashioned selling. It's stuff that's too self centered. People talk all about themselves, their product, their services, how great they are, how wonderful. Sometimes we see people get too technical doing that. They get right down into the technicalities of stuff. Really want to explain every single detail. And customers I just don't care. Yeah. And the first two I can sometimes excuse because it tends to be through passion. The poor practice one, which comes in this, which is just hey, here's a really good idea where you can manipulate the customer, you can arm wrestle them into submission, make them buy stuff they don't want. Not good. And then we get this muddled mindset thing, which is, for me, this is probably more of an organizational thing. It's where the poor salesperson is told, right, we're consultative, we sell solutions, we work with customers, we become their trusted advisor, we're alongside them, we're great. And the salesperson sets off to do that. And then it gets to the end of the month, and the company says, right, now go and sell stuff. Come on, we need to hit targets out there. Come on, ooh, discount. And it goes from consultative to transactional overnight. And the salesperson, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing here. You're telling me to get close to them, understand and be patient and kind and caring and all the dignity stuff we've been chatting about before. But now you're saying pressure them and try and get rid of a load of our things that isn't right for them. I don't know what's going on. And you kind of see these three main challenges, and it's across the board. We see people with them. So that's why I wanted to kind of put something together that would help as many people as possible get their thinking up to date, to be more collaborative in their approach as the way to kind of counteract all of those.
Yeah, I mean, this is great stuff. I thought this was just stuff that happened in the States, but it's international, huh?
All over, different sectors, different type, different whatever. Everyone's got it, and it's just in some way, shape, or form. And there's probably people listening going 1, 2, three, or 3,
right?
House,
yeah. I mean, so just this idea of partnering, how can that help?
So the broad responses to these is obviously the busy. You become more effective. You prepare better, you plan better, you use process that's going to make sure you do the right stuff. Yeah. The oldie worldy stuff is you flip your approach. Yeah. You follow a way of working that's more customer centric, and you focus on them. And then with the model mindset, we need to be way clearer in what it is that we do. We need to stick to that. Managers can coach and salespeople can be committed to what they do. So to achieve that, a more collaborative approach for me is the key. You know, I talk about collaborative selling. I call the book Selling Through Partnering Skills, because what we can do is we can take, on one hand, a lot of the stuff that's gone on before in sales, because there is actually still quite a lot of stuff that's gone before that's very valid. It's very good. It's very useful. Let's keep it. Let's bin quite a lot of other stuff because it is serving us in no way, shape, or form. But then on the other hand, I came across this concept of partnering skills, partnering intelligence, PQ, like the lesser known cousin of IQ and EQ, if you like.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the guy called Steve Dent develops. He sort of researched this, and back in the late 80s, early 90s, and he was working in big alliances. You know, when the airlines and things were coming together and they were partnering up to form and they wanted to be more effective, and they set him off to try and do this. And he came back, and cut a long story short, he came back and said, "Well, look, remember, organizations don't partner, people do." Right. So the skills of the people who are good at partnering, he codified, and there are 6 elements to it that, you know, I came across these and I looked and went, that's every single sale. Every single salesperson should use these to develop their mindset, to get their ethos right, to be more conducive to modern selling, to be more collaborative. And you look at these elements, and again, they're similar to the stuff that we've been talking about before. Yeah,
I can't wait to hear them. Yeah,
trust.
Okay,
it starts with trust. Yeah, it's the foundation of all relationships. It's good communication. We've got to build trust into what we do. Win-win focus. Of course, we've got to be looking for mutual benefit. We've got to be driving towards that. We've got to talk about what it is from both parties. Comfort with interdependence. Your success is my success, and vice versa. So we're interdependent in the way we operate. Then we bring in our own team, we bring in customer teams. You know, so this is another part of PQ. We've got 3 elements there. The third one, transparency. Now, I use that word now. He talked about self-disclosure and feedback, which is the same thing. It's giving information about yourself. It's not expecting a customer to be a mind reader. You know, it's giving them feedback about themselves. It's challenging them sometimes. It's saying, hey, look, you said you'd do this and you're not doing it. You know, so we need to do that. Comfort with change. We need to be comfortable with change. Salespeople, we are selling change. So if we're not comfortable with it, I mean, what kind of right have we got to talk about it? You know, when you understand what it's like, how somebody goes through change, how they deal with it, how they respond to it, you know, do they embrace it? Do they reject it? That's useful. And then we have this future orientation. So we're kind of building these common goals. We've got this vision that we're moving towards, and we make decisions based on that. And together with the customer, we are collaborating to get there. If you take good old-fashioned selling, plus that kind of mindset, thread it together, that's what's going to give us a really solid approach for being successful today.
Yeah, this is really great stuff. So I'm going to just go back to this one that you mentioned about, you didn't use the word empathetic, but it's about change.
Yeah.
Right? And so you said if a salesperson doesn't understand that, how can they make that recommendation? I think salespeople probably don't understand that and are making these recommendations all the time and are not viewed as real trusted advisors, right? Yeah. So do you want to kind of elaborate a little bit on that as to how they can make that change even?
Sure. I mean, change is tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Change is tough. And so just understanding what people are going through when they are experiencing change. And it's similar to the grief curve. You know, when change is being put in place, when you're working in an organization, you're getting to do something differently, think differently, you know, there's going to be that kind of denial, there's going to be that anger, that rejection, there's going to be the bargaining, the compromise piece, then we move into the sort of the depression, if you like, and then ultimately acceptance. So, yeah, it's very close to that. And so just because you're used to it, you're saying this stuff all the time. For the customer, this is new to, there will be people at different phases on there. You're excited, you're all up for it. You're, let's go, right. Come on. They might be in the anger or the compromise or just even denying. When you recognize it and where they are, you can start to adjust your behaviors to that. Yeah. you can start to also recognize individuals and what's their response to it. So some people are initiators. Some people love change, actually. This is change is fun. It's an opportunity. Do stuff differently. Yeah, they'll change for change's sake. There's others at the other end of the spectrum who reject. They're just like stuck in the mud. I will not do anything different. And then it's sort of a majority, we're kind of in the middle, aren't we? Like, we'll adapt to it, and some faster than others. So when you start getting your head around these things, and this is what is going on, and just because it's normal to you, that's what's happening in your client, your customer organization, you can do a more empathetic, as you said, caring job. You can serve them better.
Yeah, man, makes perfect sense. So,
and remember, status quo is going to be your biggest competitor anyway. Which is, I tell you what, even with all that, and you're doing a great job, we still don't change because it's just easier not to.
Yeah. All right. So I've got to ask you. So this definitely relates to salespeople, but what about a person in your position that goes into an organization that helps people to make change about sales? How do you deal with that? Because I'm guessing it's all over the board as to some who want to help, and then others are like, "Why is this guy in here? I'm doing pretty good," and so forth. Do you want to talk to that for a minute?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple of little mantras that I use, from the training point of view. The first one is think, learn, do. And the way that I kind of use that is that, well, the thinking bit I've done for you. That's my job. That's why I've written the books. That's why I kind of always researching the latest stuff. That's why I literally people like you on my podcast. That's why I kind of get everything we possibly can do, and then package it up in a way that you can take very, very easily. The learn bit. So the think and the learn, I've done. I'll do the heavy lifting on that. But the do bit, you've got to take some responsibility at some stage. I can give you all that stuff, but at the end of the day, if you don't do anything with it, then nothing is going to happen. I can only do so much. Otherwise, I might as well do it myself. Right, So then my second maxim comes in, which is this stuff is all about implementation rather than information. So gone are the days where you can sort of rock up and just sort of give almost like an educational talk and expect people to synthesize that and take it away and work out how to do it. We've got to give every single thing we can to make life easy, or easier because they're going to be doing new things, which is kind of potentially harder anyway. But everything we can do to reinforce, to make it easy, and to sort of just make it so that they're on the route to achieving the results faster and better.
Yeah. I mean, that ties into what you do and what salespeople should be doing, right? I mean, there's just very common similarities there.
Absolutely. Well, we've really got to practice what we preach, haven't we?
Yeah.
And then to sort of say, I'm saying, you got to go out and take customers on their journey and use mutual action plans and do all the good stuff that's going to make it, a nice, an armchair ride for them. Well, actually, I've got to have to provide everything I can that makes the implementation from your side on someone who's on the learning journey as easy as possible.
Yeah, that's great. So what kind of, when you think about this, I mean, is it okay to ask a question to buyers about how they feel about change when you're selling something that's obviously going to be about change in their business? Is it okay to ask that question?
Now, the answer to all of these is it depends.
Okay.
but actually, no, I don't even think it does depend. I think it is okay. But it depends on how you do it and your timing. You've got to earn the right. I'm a big fan of the concept of a salesperson who's got to earn the right to do certain things.
Me too.
By the way in which you behave, by the way in which you've done stuff before, by what you're bringing to the table, how you've guided them so far. Because that's a pretty deep question. I mean, just flying straight in with that one.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you position it up front and say, look, these are things that we could deliver for you. This is the sort of, the light at the end of the tunnel. But it will involve some change. So I'm going to jump straight in and ask you, bang. Again, even that's just gently earning the right.
Yeah.
I think if you've done more stuff and proved why I should properly answer that, you'll get a better response ultimately.
Right. So if I understand that, it's something to do with the timing, right? If you're still in the early stages of that relationship, they may look at you as like, who are you, Harry, to be asking us a question like that, right?
Yeah.
Versus
Yeah.
me earning some trust and confidence and then saying, asking that question. So how do you guys deal with that? Or how do you typically manage through that? And then, right?
Yeah.
As I think in some things is that we think we've earned the right long before we really earn the right. Right? I
I think
mean,
you did right.
yeah, okay. And that's the problem.
I
right?
work for this company. I'm an account manager.
Yeah,
I'm well within my
exactly.
rights to be asking these questions. No, steady on,
Yeah,
buddy. No, not yet. Calm down.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
what can a person who is kind of think they've earned the right, but what should they really reflect on to help them to be better at that? I love the whole earning the right thing. It's I'm a big believer.
There's a couple of things you can do. It's you can think about, okay, what valuable stuff, what things have I already provided for them? What have we talked about? What have they taken? What have they done? What are they using? Are they seeing something already as a result of interactions with me? Because if they're seeing that, then it's more likely that I'm going to be closer to them wanting to ask that question. The other way it could be, well, have I actually positioned, even if they've not started to do things, have I positioned what I've done in other areas where people have kind of taken some of the ideas, so put together, like, I hate the word case study. Salespeople don't like case studies, do they? you get like this, oh no, not case study. All right, case study. Tell them a success story. No, and there is a difference actually, because the success story is told way different, I think.
All right.
The success story concentrates way more on the customer that you were working with, the position they were in, the challenges they had, what it was like for them. You did a little thing, and then this is what they got as a result of it. Case studies, there's a customer, and then we did lots and lots of things, and we were great, and we rocked up, and we did stuff. It's like, again, who you're positioning as the hero.
Yeah.
So again, it's have you given enough of those so that people are starting to get it, to understand it, and even just the way when you're asking other questions, are they giving you fuller answers? Are they willing to share? Does it feel as though, they're actually going to start to open up a bit more on this?
Yeah. Isn't that like, I mean, that's a challenge because I think I get what you're saying, but it's one of those things that's really hard to measure, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where you're saying is the person opening up, it's like, well, how do you measure that? Because we can say it. I think you and I could say that, and both of us could get it and walk away and feel good about it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are probably walking away saying, yeah, I don't know if they're doing it or not. Is that something you just gain through experience, or?
This is one of the wonderful things of selling. This is why it's this human to human activity. And yes, the bots are coming, and yes, AI is going to take some parts of sales, the boring bits, the hard work bits, the bits which are actually going to mean we can get into these human conversations where we do use our interpersonal skills, we do use our EQ. Yes, we've got our PQ.
Yeah.
We're going to have to tap into our EQ to be able to kind of just judge, is this right? Am I getting the response that I want? Am I good to go with this question? I need to find this stuff out. It's not a God-given right that they're going to answer that question. It's, is the timing right? And even, again, it's like you could be, I think it's right tomorrow to ask this guy these questions. I think we're delivering on a whole load of things. That's what I'm going to find out. Get there, read the person. Today's the wrong day. They're in a filthy mood. I don't know what's going on there. Let's just back right off. Yeah, see what's going on. Is there something else I can help them with? Not even what I sell. It's that's the interpersonal stuff in sales. That's the bit that many salespeople I know really do enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. And then you can go in with all the pre-call planning in the world and then walk in and say, nah, not today.
Not today. And, yeah.
Let's just be
no,
nice.
This is not my plan. This is what we're going to do. Yeah, just be nice. Just
right.
And again, the benefits actually just that's different. Every other salesperson has just blasted on through what they were trying to achieve. At least you recognized it was not right at the right time, and you support me in something else I needed. Goes a long way.
Yeah,
goes a long way.
Yeah, I mean, you're just raising things for me here, so I'm curious as to how you would think. But I've gone into appointments over the years and recognized the person is having a bad day.
Yeah.
And say things like, You look like you have a lot on your mind. Does it make sense to reschedule?
Yeah.
What's your thought on that?
That's just being a decent human, isn't it? It's just being polite. And again, people say, but then that's holding the sale up.
Yeah.
Whoa. Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
We're talking about being customer centric, buyer centric here,
Mm-hmm.
except you're now worried. Somebody's had a bad day and that's damn inconvenient for you. I mean,
Right,
come on.
right.
That's not
You
really
know how
right
hard I
attitude.
worked on getting this appointment, right? That's what salespeople might say. So I'm going to make sure they give me my time because I worked my butt off to get in here.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that because it's probably going to do you more damage,
Yeah.
Whereas just that kind of kindness sort of, actually, yeah, and it gets delayed, but that gets remembered.
Yeah.
Or even if it's no, look, it's kind of, well, thank you for recognizing that.
Mm-hmm.
That set you apart from everyone else. No, actually, we are good to go today. Again, just even showing that you've got their best intent. It's their concerns with your intent is, the thing I think we should be doing.
Yeah. I mean, and what's interesting is that people look at a sales cycle and they'll say, well, I've got to have that first appointment and then whatever else follows, right? Everyone's probably a little bit different, but it's typically multiple appointments these days for anything of a larger ticket item. So I would look at that first interaction like that as valuable, if not more valuable than that first appointment. So maybe it counts however you want to count it. But see, what the problem is that some accountants looking at spreadsheets and, the data afterwards and say, well, Harry didn't have an appointment there. He didn't have an appointment. He left. So now he's got one less appointment. So that just it's not in sync, right? Whereas the human element is, look, do the right thing. You'll build a relationship. And those things don't always get measured. Thoughts?
No, totally. I mean, are we even right in talking about sales cycles, sales process? I mean, who's that centered on? It's centered on us. We're taking, and this is something which does start to arm me up because companies talk about we're buyer-centric, we're customer-centric. Again, go back to that level mindset.
Right.
That's what we're there to do. We're here to assist people buy. But when you go to that first meeting, you've got to get that done, by the way. It's like, well, hang on. Now I'm the salesperson. I'm a bit confused here. What if it's not? What if they don't want to do that? What if they've already done it?
Yeah.
What if they've already done that? I don't want to discover. I don't want to answer a load of your questions. I want you to just show me stuff. But computer says I've got to ask you questions before I'm allowed to do a demo. I don't want to answer any questions. I spent the last 3 weeks answering questions with my team, which are more qualified than you. So actually, just show me your stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, does it work? I mean, that's a very simplified version.
And we've all seen the person that's struggling with that. So where they've gone through this already. I'll hand it back to you.
But whose fault's that? Sometimes well, that's what I measured on. I kind of got to do it. And it does take quite a brave person, doesn't it? So actually, I'm going to not do what I'm being told to, but I'm going to do the right thing.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm frantically looking for my power button, my power cord here. Because this is what we do on the Sales Made Easy podcast. We adapt. So let's just get back to this. So in a situation when a person is clearly frustrated and a person, like maybe it's an entrepreneur that doesn't have the coaching and they just go in and say, well, I've got to ask my questions because if I don't ask my questions, I'm not going to know how to present and what I need to do and so forth. And the person's already like, I'm so done with this. They're looking at you as like, I don't even know why I'm here because I know the answers. And I've got other people that have already asked me these questions. So why do I have to deal with this again? So in that environment, what do you recommend?
Well, let's just take a step back and go, what are those questions for? Is it a BANT checklist for your benefit? I mean, to be fair, because BANT brings no value to the party whatsoever. You sit and ask me as a customer a bunch of it. Have you got any budget? How do you make the decisions? Well, tell me about the need. Tell me about your pain points. When you're looking to do this, what am I getting out of those questions? That's 10 minutes of my life I'm not going to get back. You're not helping me, and you're not really endearing me to you. I'm just thinking this is all about them. I don't want to deal with someone. So it's go back and sort of define, redesign what it is you're going to be doing when you go in. And so making sure the stuff that you're asking is helping people to think. That's where we can bring massive value to as a salesperson. Before you start showing the stuff and getting the demos and all that sort of thing, if you're helping somebody to think, that is you differentiating. Because you look at what we're all selling now, so much stuff is so similar. It's like,
Yeah.
it's the same as that then, isn't it? What's different? That guy helped me get my head around it. That's what I like. That is why I'm going down that route. Nice. So just think about the questions that you would be asking. You know, what we said, it's like, check it is the right time to be asking them. Frame it so that it's kind of like, this is the sort of thing that we have been achieving with customers, but I need to understand some stuff from you to check, you know, how we can do that and to just help you think a little bit. Then go into these things where people are thinking, wow, this is different. I'm enjoying this. Or I'm not enjoying it because actually the questions are quite hard.
Yeah.
I don't like it. But they're useful. I get it. I know why you're doing it. That's a way better sales meeting that's going to have far more impression and actually will speed up the process way more than you doing a checklist type stuff.
Right. Absolutely. All right. So this is great stuff. I want to switch gears a little bit because I'm looking at the books behind you. And I really do like this whole thing on partnering, also known as collaborative. I'm a huge fan of it. But can we talk about this hybrid selling and what you're seeing today and how that makes sense?
Sure. So yeah, as I said, so book one came out in 2020 at the same time as a pandemic. I'm like, oh God, I just wrote a book and the world of sales is changing yet again or even faster. Now, the good thing is, actually, collaborative selling is still very much the key to help people deal with some of the changes which we're now seeing happen more at speed. Though what's happened, or what I've seen, is that some of the things which were going to happen are now in place, like virtual, like we're doing now. People are so much more comfortable with that because we had to be. And then there's other things, because of the speed of change getting faster and faster and faster, that will occur, but will occur quicker. So salespeople need to just adapt and make sure that they are staying relevant. You know, they're doing the things which are making a difference. It's survival of the fittest, no. Survival of the most intelligent, no. Survival of the ones which can make the best adaptations. So I just looked at these extra layers. So I talked about those 3 layers of challenges. There's like another layer on top to do with like the way customers are now and the way the climate of selling is and all these different versions of selling and just change itself. And said, well, actually, what is the modern salesperson going to look like? So for me, the modern salesperson is just way more accomplished. They've got way more things that they are able to do. They're competent in so many different areas. And the easiest way to probably define this is that if you imagine that sort of, if you say that selling is a bit like playing a drum, and then you got a drum and you got a drumstick and you're tapping away. That's what some people have been doing and have got away with it to a degree. With this change and what customers are expecting and the things which are now available to us and how we need to operate to get our heads around this new environment, we need to have a far bigger drum kit. You know, we've got to have all these drums in front of us where we're playing different ones at different times and different things and hitting a cymbal and hitting the thing, because that is what we're going to have to do to keep being relevant, to keep making sense with the customer. So sense making with customer. So for me, hybrid selling isn't just the mix of face-to-face and virtual, because they've got names. That's face-to-face and virtual. That's not it. Hybrid is a mix, but it's a mix of way more component parts that if you want to future-proof yourself as a salesperson, it's worth starting to get your head around now, starting to develop and build competence in to make sure that you are, you're still serving, still adding value to your customers.
I like it. So does social become part of the hybrid, would you say?
So within that book, there's a model, is the evolve model, EVOLVE. Okay. Each of those elements gives us a thinking of the kind of stuff we've got to be getting our head around if we're going to be decent at this job going forward. Mm-hmm. First E is essentials, the foundations, a good, solid foundation in selling, which I would say is collaborative selling. funnily enough. Read book 1. Okay, good. Now you've done that.
Right.
No,
Yes. Can I throw in selling with dignity? Because I think that's all part of it too.
No, it is. It is. So when we talk about the essentials of selling and the kind of
Sorry,
the good, decent way of operating, that's your foundations. Because if not, you're building a house on sand. Yeah. Firstly, virtual. So within virtual, I would talk about this kind of selling. So the stuff that we're doing now. So it's live video calls, sending video, so asynchronous video, big area, underdeveloped at the moment, will become normal. Social selling, I will put into there as well, because it just fits better. And then the kind of the tools and some of the things that the AI can do for us and will be able to do for us, which, again, it can just do so much heavy lifting. It can do some really, really clever stuff. So we need to look at that sort of stuff. And again, that area is just developing so fast. I was doing a podcast myself the other day, talking to someone about dark prospecting. Right. sounds a bit, but it's sending things so that people can then kind of be sending stuff around their own company and kind of, it is some clever stuff going on. So we've got essentials, virtual selling. Opportunity management. Again, this stuff isn't necessarily new. It's just making sure you've got it in your drum kit, in your tool bag. So opportunity management. So this is like plotting decision-making units, working out who's who, what do they know, what do they need, and again, thinking about what do we know. Remember the old kind of unknown unknowns, the known knowns and unknown knowns.
Right. Yes.
Because it's about information, and when you know what you don't know, you can do something about it. You can then take the information, you can synthesize it, and you can use it to make better decisions in what your actions are going to be. Some brilliant models out there to help you with that, because a salesperson will become more of the leader, the person that's kind of coordinating all this process. L is for lead. So this is definitely where some of the dignity stuff comes into play as well. Dignity goes across the whole piece, to be fair, because the salesperson as a leader makes a lot of sense for me. This isn't 80s lead them up the garden path type selling. This is guiding. This is being able to, as the servant leader. I quite like the work of Robert Greenleaf, and he talks about servant leadership as to what you can do to help people and to make their life easier. And whether that's, like we've said, adapt to their buying process because they've got it, they understand it, they do this stuff regularly. You're going to annoy them if you try and change it, or help them because they're just like, well, you never buy these things. We just don't do it. Next V is then about value selling. So, value selling, what is value? Well, I don't know. You don't know. It's not up for us to know. It's what the customer thinks it is. Value is a mystery we were talking about before, weren't we? Mike Wilkinson talks about that. Value is a mystery. Our job as a salesperson is to work with people to understand what it means for them, how we can then bring something to the table that's then going to help them to achieve that. And we collaborate and we work towards that. So value selling is talked about a lot. It's been around a long time, but I'm not sure how well people do it. Then the last E of evolve is to expand. So this is about key account management. It's about customer success management. I'd actually say it's about self-management as well. It's making sure you look after yourself to be able to do all this stuff, because this sales role, I've just described a pretty big role there. There's a lot of stuff going on. But to be valuable and useful, I think you need to have all of those things and abilities to do them.
Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, it's so good. That's all in hybrid selling.
That's hybrid selling. But so for me, that's so what hybrid selling is. It's mixing that stuff up. So it's a guy called David Brock, who I've got a lot of respect for. I asked him to write the foreword, and he came back and went, "This is so overwhelming." He went, "Well, that's the point, isn't it?" I went, "Yeah." He goes, "Gosh, yeah, it is. There's a big call, but salespeople who do this and can get their head around it and just bring all that to the party, they're in a strong position to be, doing well in the future."
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I mean, you nailed so many different things there that are just, incredible. So it's like the perfect guide, right? To, look, these are the areas where I need to be better at.
Yeah.
Versus, people like me. I'm a strong closer, right?
Yep.
This kind of maps it out and says, these are the areas which I really like. I'm going to get
these are the areas. These are the things that you need to be doing. Yeah. Here's a bit of a thing to go away and start to look at, to start to develop around that. And the way I've written it is so that actually I start off with a story. So we know stories are powerful. So the first part is our 6 chapters with 2 sales guys, Harry and Larry, that go through a bunch of changes. They starts off in 2019. They meet at Christmas. They're saying, "Hey, yeah, we've had a really good sales career. We know what we're doing. Future's looking bright. It's going to be excellent." Yeah, okay. We can guess what the next 5 chapters kind of go into. They discover that actually, if they start to apply these things, it puts them in a way better position to deal with how sales has changed very quickly for them and all of us. I then take that story and then put it into a bit more kind of textbook, but not really text, but kind of more of a formula of his, the sort of the more rigid way of looking at that. And then the last part is, well, how do you apply it? How can you take it as an individual and bring that into the way that you work? Going back to the stuff that you were asking me early doors. Implementation, not just information.
Right. It's great. So, yeah, a couple of things that really jump out on me. And I know I'm looking at the clock as well. And the one is people pass off that they don't need to be good with technology. And I see it all the time. People who are in sales say, well, I'm not really good at technology, and will butcher a Zoom meeting. Right? I mean, I've got dogs barking. I got chainsaws in the background. My power's going out. I'm doing my best to make this thing work. And I say that with laughter, is that things come up. But we should be able to know how to present and share a screen.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there are things that we should be able to do and not say, well, I'm not really good at this. I mean, these are just some basic fundamentals that sales is changing. Before, we used to go in, 100 years ago when I was younger, I'd go in with a binder, I forgot what we used to call those things where you used to show people, all the stuff, whatever those things were. But now it's different, right? It's all about the customer. They're the hero. We try to make their lives better, but we should be able to have some skill sets on our end so that we show that we know what we're doing, right? What's your thought?
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, you wouldn't have rocked up with it's that little folder, isn't it? Then you kind of put it up and it sat up on like a triangle, didn't it? Yeah. And it was neat. It was tidy. It looked good. It gave a good impression. Yeah. You wouldn't go in with a dog-eared, sort of half-ripped, badly printed, out-of-date tech sheet. Not deliberately.
I've seen people do it. It's just, but still, right? Yeah.
You wouldn't, and dirty shoes, and use kind of 3-day-old shirt, and I haven't shaved today, but but you wouldn't do that. Of course, I wouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. Right. The digital equivalent of not being able to conduct a Zoom to a good standard, and I'm saying good standard now.
Yeah.
2 years ago, 18 months ago, that we could all muddle through it was fine. Now, this is your job. You are a professional. You have to get your head around doing this sort of stuff. Yeah. You've got to have good lighting. You've got to have as good a camera as possible. These are tools of your trade. Yeah. Good microphone, the most important thing. The most important. If people can't hear you, it's very tiring. The brain starts to switch off. Studies have shown that the perception of you is that you are less credible. People don't believe you. They don't think what you're saying is true. So, the stuff that we work so hard to do. So, the light, the camera, the action, and the action, the way you kind of use the space. I use my hands quite a lot. Yeah, because it makes sense to do that. It's an important part of communicating. So, for me, there's no excuse now.
Oh my goodness!
There's still scope to then get better at it. So sharing screens, yes. If you want to start doing some next level stuff, and it's not even that hard, share a blank screen, blank PowerPoint screen. As the customer is telling you things, you might be asking a question that you say, well, tell me about, what are the most important things that you would look for? Boom, put the bullet points up in front of them while you're talking.
Yeah.
Like if you might actually in the old days or the face-to-face, you might go and say, can I borrow your flip chart? Can I borrow your whiteboard?
Yeah.
And do that. List them up. From a collaborative point of view, the way the brain's working is we are putting that together. That's not me telling you that's how you're going to buy it. You're telling you how you're going to buy it. And I'm going to go through it, and then I'll probably actually annotate it, and I'll circle the first one and say, well, actually, we can deal with that because you're adding a different element and showing a mastery in what you're doing here. So again, you can use some of the collaborative tools to collaborate better and just show that you get this space.
Yeah,
it's I don't think it's an excuse not for doing it anymore. Sorry.
No, right? I mean,
sorry, not sorry.
You can make the excuse, but it's certainly not. No one understands it, right? When you have people on the other end that have to get good at it, they're not going to have the patience for a salesperson who should be good at communicating, right? We should be good at communicating, and say, well, I don't need to know is, that's
it's
not
our
great.
job. It's what we do now.
Yeah.
It just, okay. It's how it is. That's where the world's moved.
Yep.
Sending video as well. I think there's still massive opportunity with this. Using something like Vidyard. I love Vidyard.
Yeah.
So you can record a little video, you can fire it off after the meeting. Thanks for meeting me. Or even if you've not met me, looking forward to meeting you. Right. The brain doesn't know the difference between what's live and what's not. So as far as the brain's concerned, I've already met you because I've seen you, I've heard you. You look an all sort of bloke.
Right.
Okay, cool. I'm looking forward to do that. I've got a decent grasp of tech, knows these things, done something a bit different. So you can get all these things. Send it afterwards. What we said in the meeting was this, and this. I've attached a document, but for me, the main element was bang, bang. Now you can send that off to other people. So there's just so many things where we can just up the game, keep ourselves getting more professional. And it's part and parcel of what we do now.
I love it. All right, man. Fred, it's been awesome to have you on the Sales Made Easy podcast. Let me ask you this question. What did I miss? What is it that you said, Harry, I need to say this? What is that?
What a great question. Good one in sales meetings, isn't it? That is actually is a good meeting to use. Again, if you've got the right rapport, if it's going well, to ask that at the end.
Yeah.
What did you miss? You didn't ask me where you could buy them, but obviously that's on Amazon.
That's coming next, young man.
You didn't ask me if there's a scorecard which you could have a link to that people can click on and go through a bunch of questions, which will give them a view of where they are now in the way that they're selling collaboratively. And then we just use some dynamic content behind it to write them a report custom made on one of their responses as to what they can do to start to get some quick wins based on that.
Nice.
You didn't ask me that.
All right, where is this awesome scorecard, Fred?
I will send it to you to pop into the notes, or if people want to connect with me on LinkedIn, which is probably your last question, so I'll
yeah, good. You take over from here.
Two podcasts together is a nightmare. Who's doing what? Can't remember. No, but if you click on LinkedIn and you go to the contact details, so connect with me, please do. And mention this is the podcast. Go on to the link tree, because I use that as my contact details, and it's got all the social media actually that I use, but it's got that scorecard on there. So click on that, use it, and kind of use that as the prompt as to where am I now and what can I start to do better.
Awesome. Fred Copestake, ladies and gentlemen, making a guest appearance on Sales Made Easy, making our lives better. And with a smile like that, who could not love this guy? Because I know I love him. So thank you, Fred. This has been a blast.
Cheers, Harry. It's been good fun.
Man, sales is tough. I'm just not cut out to be a salesperson. Have you ever felt that way? Selling doesn't need to be so difficult. My name is Harry Spate. I'm here to serve and to help you succeed. Join me as we discuss Sales Made Easy.